A Ukrainian national was arrested on Wednesday in Croatia on suspicion of involvement in the September 2022 explosions on the Nord Stream gas pipeline. According to German prosecutors, the person arrested is a trained scuba diver who was part of a group of individuals who planted explosives on the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. He was strongly suspected of jointly causing explosions, anti-constitutional sabotage and destruction of buildings and structures, they added. The undersea gas pipeline was linking Russia to Germany to carry Russian natural gas under the Baltic Sea. The incident had heightened tensions over the war in Ukraine at a time when Europe was seeking to end its dependence on Russian fossil fuels. According to prosecutors, the aim of these explosions was to prevent Moscow from profiting from its energy revenues. Russia had accused the United States of being behind these explosions, an accusation denied by Washington.
EU leaders have expressed their support to the International Criminal Court after the United States announced it would sanction top officials investigating Israel's actions in Gaza. In a statement, the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, and Council Chief Antonio Costa said that the ICC helps deliver justice to the victims of some of the world's most horrific crimes. They added that in order to carry out this essential work, its judges and officials must be able to act independently and without external pressure. The statement came after U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that the U.S. would sanction the ICC's president, Japan's Tomoko Akane, and senior lawyer Abdoulaye Seye of Senegal. The top officials have been tasked with probing war crimes allegedly committed by Israel in its war in Gaza. The ICC has described these sanctions as a flagrant attack on its independence.
A Russian drone attack on a bus in Kherson in southern Ukraine killed 4 people and injured several others on Wednesday. In a post on X, President Volodymyr Zelensky slammed the attack as part of a, quote, safari hunt against Ukrainian civilians.
Решение, что раненых ждать скорой помощи мы не будем, и сразу уехали на областную больницу.
Local media reported that Russia launched 2 ballistic missiles and 65 drones at Ukraine overnight into Wednesday. In Zaporizhzhia, 2 people were killed and at least 10 injured by Russian drone strikes. That's according to local authorities. A fire broke out on a second floor of a hostel. A furniture store was set ablaze, and the roof of a nearby apartment building was damaged. Iran has executed over 900 people since the beginning of 2026, according to a report by human rights group the Abdurrahman Buraman Center. The Washington-based group documented 901 executions between January and July and 28 executions in August alone. The rights group noticed a sharp increase in the use of capital punishment across cases involving national security, drug-related offenses, and members of ethnic minorities. At least 56 people were executed during the 7-month period on political or national security charges. 13 were accused of espionage and 14 were sentenced on other security-related charges. Drug-related offenses accounted for at least 268 executions. The figures also show a disproportionate impact on ethnic minorities and other vulnerable groups. The report documented the execution of 16 women and 2 people under the age of 18 at the time of their alleged offenses. The latest figures add to growing international concern over the scale of executions in Iran.
The Latvian president has come to one of Europe's most sensitive borders as the Baltic country faces growing security threats from its eastern neighbors, from irregular migration to the risk of war.
I'm standing here in Latvia, with Belarus being just on my side. The fence behind me was built 2 years ago to cope with irregular migration.
The Belarusian regime is being blamed for the high number of migrants attempting to enter Latvia, and the timing is no coincidence.
Partly this is because Latvia had 5 elections in October, that's number one. And of course then it's really important somehow to show that we are not able to cope with the pressure.
Latvia finished its fence along the 173-kilometer border with Belarus this year. But all the work to strengthen the border protection should be completed by the end of the year. Latvia is adding surveillance systems, cameras, drones, and towers. In the meantime, migrants are finding increasingly difficult ways to get through, either climbing the fence or even digging under. On some days of the summer, Latvia has recorded more than 100 attempted illegal crossings.
Also testing of our capabilities, testing of our resolve, and trying to find weak spots.
And the challenge goes well beyond people trying to cross the border. The Baltic country just days ago had a drone shot down in its territory, experiences hybrid attacks, and is preparing even for a threat of war.
These blocks, all these fortification materials would help us to enable this terrain.
Latvia is strengthening its border defenses by prepositioning fortification materials, planning minefields and other obstacles, and integrating drone and deep strike capabilities into a defense line.
Are you expecting more hybrid threats from Russia and Belarus?
I think we are much better prepared, but we never can rule out anything.
Firefighters managed overnight to fully surround Belgium's largest wildfire in a century, but the situation on the ground remains complicated with several flare-ups overnight, authorities said on Wednesday. According to the crisis cell, the fire raging in the High Fence Nature Reserve is no more moving towards Germany, with the goal to bring it under control, if possible, with aerial support. Firefighters say they launched a decisive push to encircle the wildfire on Tuesday, despite wind and rain hampering air support operations.
Quand on arrive ici sous cette pluie, de se dire qu'il y a un incendie qui est en cours, mais c'est vrai que c'est pas parce qu'on ne voit plus de flammes qu'il n'y a pas de feu. Le feu il est là, il est dans le sol. Et la pluie est laide évidemment, c'est sûr. Et aujourd'hui elle tombe en abondance, c'est très bien, mais il en faudra sans doute des centaines de litres pour éteindre le feu. Parce qu'à peu près partout où on voit des petites flammes, des petites fumées, pardon, il y a un feu sous le sol. Donc voilà, on va avoir inondé ça pendant longtemps.
The blaze charring the vast expanse of boggy peatlands, pine trees and hiking trails spread over the weekend to some 3,000 hectares. But a hard-to-access front towards the German border remained a concern for both authorities and some residents already under evacuation orders.
Il faisait derrière la maison presque plus à respirer. Et bon, on est resté le plus possible à l'intérieur parce que j'aurais pas su rester dehors, j'ai déjà des problèmes un peu respiratoires. Et puis après, à 16h, vers là, 16-17h, on nous a fait fermer le café, évacuer.
Europe has been swept by weeks of devastating wildfires fueled by dry conditions and a historically hot summer, with France, Greece, Portugal and Spain also battling major fires.
European surface temperatures are rising due to climate change, and the Mediterranean Sea has seen a rise of around 2 degrees, according to a new scientific study. The study by the World Weather Attribution Group shows that some of these areas are heating up faster than the global average. Researchers found that the change in temperature is severely impacting our ecosystems.
Our marine life is moving from warmer waters up into the Mediterranean, and then from warmer, more southerly waters, such as down near Spain, is now pushing more north towards Ireland, and then the fish, say around Ireland, are being pushed even further north again towards the North Sea. So this is concerning on a number of levels, not just for marine life, but also for its impacts on human communities.
Experts say that this is particularly being driven by the continued burning of fossil fuels. Meanwhile, Western European seas have seen an increase of over 1.3 to 1.4 degrees Celsius. According to the European Union's Global Warming Monitor, the world's oceans hit record high temperatures for a second straight month in July. Former Wimbledon finalist Nick Kyrgios has been provisionally suspended from tennis after testing positive for cocaine. He tested positive while playing at an ATP 250 event in Mallorca in June. Kyrgios said he had difficulties coming to terms with being near the end of his career after 2 years of injuries, but that he takes full responsibility for what he calls was a huge mistake. The 31-year-old Australian reached the Wimbledon singles final in 2022, where he lost to Novak Djokovic, although now ranks 919 after a series of injuries. Kyrgios got a wild card to play doubles at Wimbledon last month and lost in the first round with partner Alexander Bublik. The International Tennis Integrity Agency will prosecute the case, and the length of his ban will depend on whether the substance was taken during a competition. Cocaine is banned as a doping substance during competitions, with lower sanctions possible when used away from events.
First through the hatches, ESA astronaut. First through the hatches, ESA
Sophie Adno is writing a new page in French astronomy. 6 months after joining the International Space Station, the aeronautical engineer made her first spacewalk this Tuesday. Adno became the second European woman and the first French woman to carry out such a mission. The journey is carried alongside with the American Annie Menon. The operation began around 2:30 p.m. French time and was scheduled to last no less than 6 hours and a half. The objective is to replace the space-to-ground antenna, which is essential for high-stat data transmissions and communications between the ISS and ground control centers. To do so, Sophie Adno carries in her diving suit a liter of water and oxygen, enough to last about 10 hours in space.
Third external engineering camera on the Soyuz spacecraft looking at the International Space Station.